Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, I'm sitting down with an amazing comedian. She's been a friend of mine for years. She's been grinding it out. It's very funny. It's having a lot of success. She's also married to a comedian, which brings up a whole ton of questions. She's also a mom to a beautiful little girl. And so we're going to be talking about comedy, but we're also going to be having a conversation of how she stays positive, affirmations that keep her going, and why she's so happy right now. So we love it. So with that said, let's bring on my guest, Christine Meehan-Berg. How are you?
Hey, Madison.
What's going on?
I love starting podcasts after we already talked for a couple of minutes, but we're like, hi, Madison, how are you? It's always so weird. Zoom's so weird. Here I am. I'm so glad to be here on your pod.
I know. So tell us real quickly, like, what was your path to comedy?
Yikes. Yeah, I just talked about this the other day. So I was failing miserably at selling wine when I was living in Philadelphia, and I was like working for like a super high-end boutique distributor, and it was so expensive that I couldn't. It was like at the height of, remember the crash in 2000 and I don't even know what. Yeah, 8, 7. So I think so not at the height of it. So maybe 2007, it was the summer. And I was spending a lot of money traveling around. I like killed my car. And then I ended up, for whatever reason, went to go down to Wildwood, New Jersey to like, for I guess like one of my clients. And I stopped by my grandmother's house and I found her in the attic with no air conditioning in July, I think, the height of some kind of heat wave. The windows were closed and she was in the attic. There was no air conditioner. It was terrible. So I don't know if she had had a stroke or something. So long story short, I ended up giving up the job, and come to find out, like, she was in the throes of Alzheimer's and dementia. So whatever had happened to her, she was already on a decline, and she was 84 at that time, or 89? Yeah, 89, living alone. And it just was really bad. So I ended up having to bathe my grandmother several times.
Wow.
But it was not a good experience because I'd only ever bathed a baby, and like it is a really different situation. And it was treacherous for her, and for, like, I felt so bad for her. Anyhow, my mind snapped and my family fell apart, and I ended up getting on stage the first time because I told Monroe Martin the story of bathing my grandmother, and he was like, you got to stop being a pussy and get on stage. Is this family friendly? And
anything goes.
And I did. And the first time I got on stage, I talked about that situation, and it wasn't funny. And a girl in the front row was sobbing, crying to this story that I told, not laughing. She was just, she felt so bad for me, but I was trying so hard to make it funny. And every time I tell that story, I feel that still deep in my soul of like how hard that is to make it funny. I finally, like, we're talking, that's 14 years ago, and now I can make it funny, but then, so yeah, got off stage. And I think Chris Cotton, who has since passed, he goes, you got a lot of work to do there, Meehan. And I go, I know I do. So I've been trying ever since to make the worst things funny, I guess.
Well, it's that's what comedy's kind of about, is the almost like the tragic stuff or the stuff that annoys us to try to make it funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it depends on, how sad you are. And it doesn't always have to be that way. I think, a lot of people say like there has to be like a big reason for you to get on stage. For some there is, not for everybody. For me, there was. That was the impetus to get, like, what, you have to lose everything. And I did. Like, I lost so many things. And I think, like, my mind at a certain point after the bathing situation, it was an outdoor shower though. So how bad could it be?
Yeah, I know, right?
There's the breeze.
Yeah, right. But yeah, but that's because you're so close to her and you see her in a different way. And, you know, I had something with where my grandmother, she's still alive, but she has an ostomy bag. And when she started to kind of go down that road with dementia, it was, you know, my dad was in denial that anything was wrong with her.
So was mine.
Yeah, they don't want to admit it. It's very, and I can see why it's hard to accept that your parents are not who they are anymore.
Yep.
They've kind of lost a big part of them. They're physically there, but they're not mentally there. But she had an ostomy bag, and I remember in 2018 we had her up at the lake with the family, and we were changing this ostomy bag. And it was like things you never wanted to see with your grandparents, but you kind of
Nope.
go through that mode where you're like, well, gotta do it. If
Yeah.
you'd want the same done for you. So that's good karma.
Yeah, it is good karma. I remember being like, what I think the word that I came up with, just like with older people, their body, and we're gonna get there. Remember that. Like this is I've been kind
Well,
of
we hope we
talking
get
about it a lot. I hope I get there. But
Right.
I also know that there's, like in weird places, there are phalanges that you don't expect to be, that you don't expect to see or find. You're like, what, where did that come? Just wispy things. I'm like, I don't know. This is the future of my body. Like, I know that I'm built like her. I'm so much like her, like the legs, the whole thing. I am a lot like my grandma. I'm like, I think for me, it was looking at my future self and being like, I don't know if I can handle this at 27 years old. Right. Oh God, it's just tragic. And she was amazing. And I think, yeah, for the denial part, our parents' generation, they remember they never really were candid or open with their problems or handling things or being able to admit whatever their feelings were. Everything was kind of swept under the rug, and they had this big
Yes.
old mountain underneath, right? This mound of crap.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And then the generation before them, they were so tough that they didn't complain either. So I think what happened with this situation, and probably with your grandmom too, is that they were so, like, our parents' generation is so comforted by the strength of, like, our grandparents, and depended on that so much that when that stopped in some way, they didn't really know how to really deal with that, right? And so
Yeah.
instead, we're like, no, they're fine, because they've always been fine, because they can handle everything, right?
Yeah.
And then we all fall apart in some way, and you kind of hope that it's like, okay, oh yeah, I'm gonna lay down and die someday. No, it's not always that way, right?
I know.
Like,
I
what would you rather? Would you rather it be your mind goes or your body just goes to shit? Like, I don't, it's
It's a
hard.
tough one. I know. And
Mhm.
I, with my grandmother too, it's like I see her and, life doesn't seem so bad because the stories she tells sound amazing. She's like, I was in
Amazing.
DC yesterday, and, I'm heading over to Princeton, and we're going to go then drive to the shore, and then we're going to go to Texas. I'm like, this sounds, so it's
A
kind
goddamn jet
of,
setter.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she may not be there, but it's like kind of comforting that maybe she's having these great experiences in her mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't
Isn't
know
that
it,
nice?
though.
My dad also, not my actual father that we went through all this with, but my stepdad, who helped raise me now, has dementia, like the early stages.
Ugh,
And I'm like, what's going on with my family? I guess I'm gonna get it someday. But he is so happy. But my mother is like, I can't, it's so hard on her, because
yeah.
he's just like, I'm having a good time. He reads like children's jokes out of this joke book and giggles for out. And it's like, he's just living it up. He's not upset, but she's pissed because she's like, he's happy all the time. He doesn't care. And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't you want him to be happy?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be losing it and be like, that's cool, instead of being angry about it, right? Like, sometimes I forget. That's
I,
kind
I
of nice, isn't it?
I know, but what they're finding more and more is that, you know, our grandparents' generation was very stubborn.
Mm,
Because we could do everything, right? We can fix everything. We don't need to share our problems. And so when the hearing would start to go, which happens, they refuse to wear hearing aids. And what
mhm.
they're finding is if you're not properly hearing, it leads to dementia. So if you're ever having
Yeah.
hearing issues, it's probably not a bad idea to slap on a little tiny
The
thing
little thing.
and just move on with your life.
My mother has them, but she doesn't put them in. And so we're on Zoom,
Yes.
or not Zoom, we're on FaceTime or Portal or whatever with my daughter. And my daughter will say something to her and she'll just, huh? And then it's 4 times. So my 4-year-old has to repeat. I'm like, put in your hearing aids. She can't even hear you. You can't hear her say anything. Like, stop being stubborn. I'm not putting them in. It's too late. And I'm like, it's not too late. It's going to
Yeah.
be too late when she's 20 and she doesn't want to talk to you because she's annoyed because you can't hear a damn thing.
That's
Like, stop being stubborn. Get those shits in.
I know. So if you
Yeah.
guys are listening, you have hearing issues, it can lead to dementia. So take care of it
Amen.
now, because
That's
you'd rather
right.
have your mind than, or maybe not. I mean, my grandmother seems to be going on great places in her mind. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that now.
Could be a vanity thing too, right? Like, I don't want to wear my hearing. Ew.
I know, but you
You
really
never know.
can't. They're so tiny, you can't even see them. I remember people that are like, I have hearing aids. I'm like, you do? And you can't, and then you look and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have even noticed that.
Yeah.
Especially
My
girls.
neighbor, I love hearing aid stuff. My neighbor, I don't call him Drippy Nose Joe, but I kind of want to. He's the funniest, sweetest man in the entire world, but he can't hear. He wears the hearing aids, but it's so bad that if you're like at a dinner party with him, you have to wear a microphone so that whoever he's paying attention to, you have to have it close because it blasts his ears. And otherwise, you're yelling at him, Joe. Did you hear what I said?
That's a great idea. Have a portable microphone. If somebody's hard of hearing and they refuse to wear it and you're frustrated, well, just get on the microphone.
Get on the lapel mics. Yeah. You should have many and then just this tiny little speaker in your ear.
Oh.
Everybody wears the Bluetooth. It's amazing what we can do nowadays. I love old people.
I know. They are
Yeah.
great, right? I know, because we're all going to be there too. So are you on the road a lot right now too?
We were a lot in the past month, and then this is kind of a down week, which is very nice because I can enjoy my gorgeous new home. And we're all around, and then there's one nighters here and there. So it's kind of like a frenzy, but it's been like that for us for the past year because we were a couple of the very few people that didn't stop. I was kind of taking my life into my own hands.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to be silenced ever. And I need to keep my marriage alive and my sanity intact. So I just did a ton of shows. And no matter what it was, right? People's backyards, pickup trucks, speakeasies. I started my own weekly show. We did, we did barbecues for people. We did in parking lots all over Long Island. It just was, I think I did a garage.
I know. I kind of like the outdoor shows though.
I did until I didn't have to do them anymore. And then I did a park show and I was like, why am I doing this? It's the worst thing ever. Because I like it. When it was a necessity, it was the greatest thing ever. But then when I didn't have to do it and I had the opportunity to be in a club, this was a couple of weeks ago, and there were kids playing volleyball a foot away from the furthest audience member. And every time I don't know what happened. Then they were jumping rope. And every time they actually jumped the rope, they all celebrated. I was like, I don't know who's so special about jumping a rope. But anyway, and they were louder than this 120 people out watching a show in Central Park. So I was like, I don't need to do this ever again. Plus I was sweating down my legs. It's not.
Yeah, that's probably not
a good look. No. I don't care how much linen I can wear, but even the linen's wet. It's not it's not comfortable,
No, not at all. Yeah, it is nice being like kind of back in the clubs, but there were certain outdoor shows I like. But the bad thing about the outdoor shows I noticed is that there's nothing to trap the laughter. So it just disappears into the air.
Goes into the ether. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, I could be totally bombing or crushing it right now. I have
and you don't even know
what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
Yep.
But so how is it being a comic? You're married to a comic, and then you guys have a daughter. I mean, this is not the easiest situation. How do you handle it?
I wonder what it would be like for one of us to not be. I think it would be
Yeah.
harder. I think because I would say that we are very fortunate that one, we understand the madness that is like, okay, I haven't been on stage for 3 days and this is why I'm being a pain in your ass,
Right.
or why I'm kind of in my head about this thing. I also think I'm fortunate because I'm the kind of comic that everything that I go through, I put it on stage. Like if I'm going through something terrible, it's right away. Like, and I'm lucky that I have a show where I can do that every week.
Yeah.
And I let it out. And he's the same, maybe not to the same extent that I am, but he can, he can get it out of him. I think it's difficult for other people that don't have an outlet, that can't
Yeah.
have any kind of release and that's not to say my marriage is perfect and by any stretch of the imagination, but thank God that we have this beautiful, wonderful thing and that we kind of use it as catharsis to kind of, help each other, I guess, like
Yeah.
to not hate each other. We've been through some really terrible things and terrible times, but for whatever reason, he stays. Like
Well, that's good. I mean,
he
that's the
hasn't
value
left.
change when you get married,
Yeah.
for better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
So
So
do you think that your little daughter's gonna be a comedian?
she can be very funny, but if people laugh at her when she's not trying to get them to laugh at her, she gets very angry. So I'm like, I don't know I don't really want her to, but her timing is good. I want her to do whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
And given the fact that she has had to close shows with me, open shows, she's been at like all the clubs. She's had to come onto stage with me so many times that I can't even count. And she's got a really great way about her that she can walk into a room and 100% own it. That
That.
is wonderful to me. Like that's a gift that not all kids have. So I love that.
Yeah, one of the most amazing story or things about you, or one of the things about you, is when your daughter was born, something happened to where you had to breastfeed her on stage.
Were you there?
I think I was there, or I heard about it. It was New York Comedy Club, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to breastfeed your baby while you were telling jokes. If that's not the most badass thing I've ever heard, I don't know what is.
Well, that was the impetus for a very large nervous breakdown.
Well,
Like I did not. I would never. I would never recommend it. It was not something I planned. And people always bring that up because like that sounds like such a badass thing to do. And for
well, like
me,
you
it
didn't
was
give
out of
up.
necessity,
Yeah.
right? Like the whole time I felt like an asshole. The whole time. Because as a comic who look, I was 10 years in before I had my daughter. And I did an album 9 months pregnant. And I figured like, okay, I'm really starting to kind of like catch a footing. And then the baby comes and I had postpartum. I had a huge C-section, like awful. I was massive. And then I was like, I can't, my life, whoop, right to a halt. And then I was like, well, fuck this. Sorry. I'm going to keep going because I'm not going to be okay if I don't.
Yeah.
And I brought her against every recommendation of any woman that had ever had a child. They were like, don't you dare. My mother included. How could you bring this poor child, right? And I'm going, this poor child is not going to survive if mommy is like cuckoo for
Yeah.
Cocoa Puffs. So I brought her and I had a paid spot. And she was I don't even know, 4 months old. And they were like, all right, you're next. And literally in that minute, she started to scream. And I was like, what do I do? So I
Ah,
put her, and they're like, well, we can bump you. We'll push you back a comic. And I go, yeah, but she's still 4 months old. Like feeding her could be a half hour. So I was like, no, you know what? And the girls in the green room are all like, you can do it. It was like Abby Feldman. I don't even know the other one. You can do it, Christine. Come on. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. No, you have to. Feminism, all this stuff, like egging me on. And I'm going, I don't, no, 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 no. Like, and now I'm crying. I'm in the green room going, like, I can't do it. Hormones, right? I'm spiraling. And then I was like, okay, fine. fine, you guys, I'm going. And I put a big sweater, I had this humongous sweater that was like a blanket and had a turtleneck, and I still have them. I'm never going to give them away.
Yeah.
And I put her under it, and I got on stage, and I held her with one hand. I held the microphone with the other. I put a foot up on a stool, and they were like, it could have been like a robot baby. They didn't know, because she was there for the 15-minute spot. Like, the only time I took her out was when I was like, oh, I guess she's done. And I was doing crowd work. There was a guy staring. It was vicious. But I made them laugh, and I was so aggressive because it was this mama bear thing where I was like, "What's your problem?" Like, oh my God, this lady is yelling at people with a baby attached to her boob. If you're a mom and you haven't been through something like that, that's magical. Because so anyhow, I make fun of the guy, and I'm like, "Where are you from?" Russia. And I was like, "Well, that's why." And they all like, and I'm doing I did material, I did crowd work, and then I got off. I cried for 4 days. Like, I could not stop crying because I thought I didn't do either job to the best of my ability, because I only had so much to give of both different pieces of myself. But then I talked to, like Laurie Kilmartin, and she said, "Did you do your job? Were you funny? Did you do your spot?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Fine." Because she had to do it. Then another person said, "Ew, Christine, I don't really think like you did what on stage. Ew, that's not really." She like literally said, "Ew."
Was it a comic?
And goes, mm-mm. And
Oh,
she
well,
goes,
that's why.
"Well, don't you want to, like, that's not real comedy." And I'm going like, and this is me again. Any woman that has had a baby right in the beginning, you're so sensitive, especially when you're breastfeeding still. And like, you don't want to have to do these things, but then for somebody to full on judge, at least to my face, at least she was honest with the reaction. But like, okay, so 4 days of just sheer terror that I was screwing up all across the board. And now people talk about it all the time. And now women are like, they're bringing their kids all the time, because I never had anybody except for maybe Laurie Kilmartin to go like, okay, I've been through it. Veronica Mosey, like, they've been through it, but that's not the same, that's not our generation of comics to go like, oh, okay, I can look up to this person and say, maybe I'm not screwing up. So I did it. And the entire time I felt like, this is stupid. Like, this is really not good. And she's phenomenal. My kid is so amazing.
Oh, she's so cute. I need to send you, I came across a picture of when I first met her, holding her when she was first born. It was like at New York Comedy Club. She was like a little peanut.
Oh, she's so tiny.
She's so cute. Such a cute.
And now she's almost 4 going on. She's 27.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. She like doesn't want to wake up. She's like a teenager. That's what they say, three-nager or something. I don't know all these weird terms, but it's true. Yeah. And she's strong and she's smart.
My friend, she's got a daughter around that age, and it's the age where they can be mean and the tantrum sometimes. And, and I have other friends that have kids around that age, and they're like, there's a reason they make them so cute.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Kill them otherwise.
There's a lot of jokes that I say, like, I don't beat her, but I think about it. Like, but in the same instant, she can be the most magical, sweetest. Like, I'll say something like, "Hey, Piper, what was your favorite part of today? We went on all these rides. We did this, that, and the other thing." And she goes, "You, Mama." I'm like, I don't deserve that, because I'm a terrible. I can be so hard on her, and she's just, she is a delightful angel. But then she can be.
Just imagine your comedy material when she's a teenager. How much fun!
I know there's going to be so much to come. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's what people said to me. I remember somebody go like, not that I was even thinking of not having her, but I'm like, freaking out to other comics. And, it was Monroe Martin again. And I go, freaking out, doing stand up, being, and going to be a mom. And he's like, "You have that baby." And I'm like, "I'm not going to have it." Right? He's like, "That's just more material. You know what? Life is more material." And I'm like, yeah, we've seen a lot of that with men, that, dads that, you're looking at Gaffigan and, Kevin Hart, all these guys, but there's there are few women that we can be like, oh, she did it and she was badass at it. And it is amazing when they do. But there's not, it hasn't been done so much. It's not that normal, right? Not normal. It's not like regular every day that people have children and take them on the road or take them to every show. And I think
Right.
it was, so we were at the stand a couple of months ago, maybe it was a month ago, and Piper was passed out on the banquette at the stand, and Louis C.K. comes in and he's like, you know what? I wish I was like you guys. And I was like, okay. And he's like, my wife wouldn't let me bring my kids because she didn't know what we were looking, what kind of world it was. And he's like, but all I wanted to do was bring my kids so they could experience this world with me. She wouldn't let me. He's like, but look at you guys are doing it. And I was like, no, we're just careless. Like we don't have an option. We couldn't find a sitter for 2 months. Like it was out of necessity. Like if I didn't have to bring my kid, I probably wouldn't have.
Right.
But money and sitters, and like, okay, I'm gonna go pay a sitter $40 while my spot pay, I only have one spot. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's weighing and measuring a lot more pressure to, get more spots, do better, and be more notorious. And I think Aaron would tell you the same thing, that it's like, it's way more motivating to kind of be badass, right?
Well, yeah, and it kind of, you have that motivation behind you that's like you have to have. I mean, it's survival. Like you have another person to take care of.
There's no other option. There's no option.
Which is the best
No.
way though, because now you have to succeed. That's the only option. There's no plan B. Like this is it. But yeah, I mean, I have so much respect for you. I couldn't imagine being a mom and running around, but maybe it's just because I haven't been in that situation yet.
You'd be amazed at what women can do.
Yeah.
And I won't say that's because, what parents can do. People are, and children are wildly, what's the word? Resilient. We're resilient. And when anything is handed to you in terms of here's some adversity, here's a challenge, most of the time, you're never given anything as a challenge if you can't handle it, right? Because you don't ever want to fail.
Yeah.
No, right? Like, God forbid, and I'm not going to compare it, but like you get, I don't know, you lose all your hair. I'm comparing losing all your hair to having a child. But like you lose a leg compared to having, you birth a baby, you get cancer. No,
right.
But there's anything that you are like handed, what the world, what life is going to hand you. If you're already a comic that does what we do and you're resilient, all right, well, let's keep going. You're never going to go, nope, I can't, nope, too hard. Like, why would you get into this business or stand up or any kind of performance knowing that it's going to be hard anyway, and then just give up? Like it's kind of stupid in my mind. It's insane to even think that that's a possibility.
Right. Like if that's what makes you happy and you keep going.
Yeah.
And you do what you got to do. But yeah, I mean, I have so much respect for it. So, I mean, you're in a very like positive, uplifting place. Like, is there moments you ever want to quit?
There are never moments that I want to quit. Right now, I have to tell you, because this is funny, I finally have peace and quiet, silence in my life. And my chihuahua is whining at the door, staring at me like he's dying. So just, I want to answer your question, but this poor dog, looking at, you're fine.
Oh,
that's food. I love you. Please stop whining.
The dogs are the best.
I'll be there in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to block it out. So do I ever want to quit? No. I think my hardest hurdle to jump is being patient with my own climb and to not do the comparison it's the compare and despair or what I don't have, because I have so much, more than I've ever had in my lifetime in terms of blessings and I mean, I live in a beautiful house, a beautiful daughter, an okay husband, and he's 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 brilliant and funny and loving and reads me whenever, kind of gets it, and we just get each other. I could not really ask for more. I really couldn't.
That's
And
amazing.
and a career that, like, okay, I know, as a performer, as a comic, I'm the strongest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that, of what I can do every, like, new
Yeah.
15, blah, blah, blah. Like, I keep pushing. I build an hour. I should be working on the hour. Do I not have some things? Sure. Could I have more? Sure. But I think that's my biggest fight with myself, where I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know what I do have? I have extra lines on my forehead. I'm aging. I've got my patch of gray but those things make me funnier, right? Like the
I agree.
terrible moment, right? And I, ugh, like, instead of looking at what I don't have, I am focusing on what I do and
Yeah, that's the
just
best way.
trying to be grateful. Yeah, I will never give up. I'll be on my deathbed and you're gonna be like, give me a microphone because I got something to say. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be like 94 or something. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, it's like you were born with it. It was, your gift and things of that sort. But that's a very good thing you said about being patient on the journey, whatever that journey is for anybody, is you want that instant success. You want that big break. You want that thing. But sometimes
Yeah.
it's being patient. I know, like in my career, being patient and being able to pivot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being okay with that, and then things just started to kind of open up, and it's been amazing. But you have to be patient, because you're like, why do things take so long? Why is this not happening? But you just have to stay in faith, and you know
Yeah.
whenever it's
It's
meant to
weird to
be, it'll
be,
be.
I think that, there's different kinds of schools of thought, right? I married a Jew, so I get to, and I'm not one. So I don't know if he believes in this as much as I do, but is there a plan? I think so. Maybe more than he does. And I think, um, in the business, maybe, not everybody is supposed to be like young and hot and like popping off. That I was in it at my hottest, and that's not when it happened. So I just
Me too,
let
and
it
it did
go.
nothing.
Being hot did nothing. And I wish it happened then. No. But that's like, there's a lot of really cute girls getting a lot of cool things, and I'm so happy for them. But it needs a lot of therapy and a lot of like self reflection and like this gratitude thing for me to be like, instead of being like, can't believe that bitch got it. Instead, it's like, oh, that's really great. I'm really proud of that person, right? Because you wouldn't want to be the person really doing well eventually and know that there are people like you were being like, oh, that's shitty that they're getting, and I don't,
Right.
that's not fair to anybody. It's not
It's
doing me any good.
no,
It's not
it's
going to,
not.
right? Yeah.
It's true.
So,
Yeah, because you want to, everybody wants that like success, and when you get there, you want people to be happy for you. But you have to understand, with life, people get jealous and they're caught up in their own things, and they might not be.
yeah.
When you get like a huge television thing, like there's going to be, your true friends are going to be very happy for you, but there's always going to be. I mean, we're in a great industry, but we're in a pretty dark industry.
Hmm.
There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of competition. It is kind of, the industry was really created to, not created, but like how it's kind of evolved and how it works is like, it's like almost like these people at the top, it's like they pin you against another person instead of
And
just
it's so
all
not
working
cool,
together.
It's
Exactly.
not cool.
Yeah. So it makes it feel like, oh, but you really have to step in and be like, what's meant for me will be for me, and that's all I can do.
Yep.
and then you just kind of let it go. Like whatever's meant to be. I was just having this conversation last night with somebody. I said, I think we have a lot less control than we actually think
Yeah.
of what kind of happens, but everything always kind of happens for a reason, or you're happier that you were pivoted into a different direction, or you met somebody that changed your life, whether it's romantic or financially, through like a business thing. You just
Yeah. I've been doing these, and I know because you were going to ask me, but I think that the biggest thing in this vein of discussion is to begin to realize what you actually want. Because that's the
yes,
hardest thing. Because if you don't know, and so I've been doing these I am
yeah,
affirmations, or these manifestations of like finding your own success and your own positivity and your own gratitude, and it's kind of all in the same under the same umbrella. But the one that really resonated with me was not just like the I am abundant, I am grateful, and I am, and that did help a lot. But I think the one thing was like, okay, what are you grateful for? And then if you were to see yourself at your most successful, what does that actually, not what is it, but what does it look like to
mm,
you? Like if you close your eyes and like, what is that image in your head? What is that one thing that like that's the pinnacle, that's the picture of what you have done, and what can like, and how can you, given that image, how can you be grateful in your moments and take into yourself? Because if you don't have that picture in your mind, there's not going to be a road to get there, right? Like if you didn't know the address of somebody that you're going to visit, how would you get to them? You
very
wouldn't,
true. That's a really good point.
right? Like you would just, I guess I'm gonna try to feel it. I mean, I've been watching Manifest, and there's a show on Netflix, and they just feel their way. Wouldn't that be nice? I just
I know.
feel my way there. No, can't feel my way there. I did feel my way to my husband. I can say that. Like there's with like,
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? You felt your way to
I
your
think I felt my way towards him. I think with like love, it might be different. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. But
like you were
when
picturing the type of person you wanted,
oh
and
yeah. Hmm.
it attracted you. I had a guest on. We were talking about finances, and she had said, we were talking after, and she said, "Yeah, I'm married," because her husband was brought up, and she's like, "Yeah, I wrote down everything I wanted in a man, and he just appeared." And I've heard this from people, you should do this, or people should do this. And I've never done it. Maybe it's because I don't want a man right now. I don't know.
I just know what I didn't. It's easier to, well, one, I think when it comes to that, well, it comes maybe for everything. It's knowing what it is, or not like what they look like, but these things that you need, as like, these kinds of, I don't know, what are they, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not a recipe.
Your love
Like
languages?
maybe it's the love languages, or like the things that you will not tolerate, things that you would really like as a
Yeah.
trait in a person, in a human. And then you kind of have to go through all the other things to show you what you really want, right? The things that you don't like, that you shuffle through them. Okay, yeah, that's not the thing, that's not the one, that's not the one. Because when the thing does come, or the one does come, or whatever, if you believe in that, it's going to sound different, it's going to seem different, it's going to be different, because it is different, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not the frenzy, it's not the what's wrong with me, or what's wrong with this person. It's not what's wrong with you or the other person. It's just not the thing. And it's really easy to put this on yourself, the same thing that it is like, oh well, what I don't have, that same idea is to go, oh, it's that person's fault, or it's my fault, or my hair isn't this way, or maybe I'm too short, or maybe he's too short, or maybe he's too fat, or he's too tall, whatever it may be. Or like maybe I'm just too crazy, or maybe I'm too sick. You could do all these things, and you could think and think. Nope, just not work. Nope. Next one, next move, keep going. But the experiences with all the things that aren't right help you build to the understanding of the thing when it's right there in front of you. You're going to get it. You're going to understand that that's what it is, whether it be love or anything else.
That's true. Yeah.
Process of elimination, right?
Exactly. And, dating just takes so much time. But yeah, people say when like all the bullshit that comes with dating, all the anxiety that comes with dating, all the second guessing your outfits and yourself that comes with it. Why didn't they call? Why aren't they blah, 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 blah. It all goes away when you meet the right person. They're like, why can't the right person just fucking come? Like, why do I got to deal with all this? But it does make you stronger as a person.
Yeah, because if it happens to in the wrong time, somebody once said that it's like timing and geography, right? And some people say that women find the right one and men find the right time or something like that. I don't know about all those things, but I do think it's like if you don't figure out what you cannot live with, then you're not going to be prepared for the things when it comes, because whether that be, I think, a relationship or the things that we want, right? Because if you don't have the hardship, if you don't have the heartache, if you don't have the struggle, if you don't have the like second guessing and pulling yourself out of this thing, then when it does actually happen, then do you have the wherewithal to handle when it's good or when it's worth it or when it's big?
True.
Right? You need to build up something so that you're prepared for, because it's not easy. Nothing's easy. You get like the more you have, the harder, like
different problems.
Right? Yeah. More money, more problems, but
But the thing is, I hate that line because people are like, my money, my problems. I'm like, yeah, but at least you could hire people to take care of all those. You know what I mean? So it's like,
it should be mo money, mo taxes. That's really what the line should have been. But
especially in this world right now. Yeah. I know. Kind of like, that's why you got to get all those write-offs. You know what's great about being in entertainment, and I hope you know this. This is the finance geek in me. You can write off like some of your highlights, and you could write off Botox and facials. It is your job to be presentable on stage.
You're telling me I could get lipo out of my middle of my thighs?
Yeah, I have to look at the tax code on the liposuction, but you could buy a very nice work bag because you need it to go to the meetings to look presentable. You have to remember, our former commander-in-chief expends $70,000 a year on his hair. If he can do that, well then so can I, because as I tell my accountant, I could be gray or dirty blonde if I wasn't in entertainment. But because I am, I have this pressure of this image to uphold. So therefore, that is a tax deductible expense. I just got very passionate about that. So yes, I just saved you a shit ton of money this year.
You just saved me so much money, and that means I can go get my hair done again. Thank you so much.
Your nails?
See this?
Because when you're on, do you know what I mean? Like you're holding a microphone. Like I should have done that, but like I didn't. Like you're holding a microphone. If that's something that's part of your brand and your image, then that is 100% absolutely a write-off. So
clothing. Oh my God.
Clothing can be a little tricky. I did ask.
Gym clothes. If you work at a gym.
But yeah, so you can take like a portion of it, but not all of it. But yeah, it's one of those things where, we're in a business. It's a very gray area. There's a lot of gray areas to where you're like, well, I wouldn't do this if I didn't have to be presentable. I wouldn't have to get as many facials.
If I do all of my podcasts and I start a podcast and I call it sectional, can I like write off my sectional couch?
Only if that's part of the business. Absolutely. Don't worry. I'll take you guys on a journey.
We're all going to do this thing.
I'm all about how to pay your fair share, but be smart about it, because guess what? Everybody else is being smart about it. Not being smart about it is not taking advantage of the things that you can use as deductions. Being smart about it is utilizing those deductions to make you a better business person and to keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket. I should just run a financial podcast at this point.
You really should. I know. What are we doing here? What are you doing?
So every time you go now to get your hair done or your nails done, you're like, well, Madison said it was a tax deductible expense because I gotta look good. And Aaron's gonna be like, okay.
Okay, fine. And he'll be so happy. He's going to be very excited when I tell him what we talked about on the podcast. He's going to be like, you know what? Hang out with Madison more. And I will.
Well, I got lots of advice. I got lots of shit up my sleeves. It's one of those things. I've been learning a lot, but talking about the whole manifesting thing and you attract what you put out there is so true. And sometimes it's hard in comedy, as you know, because there's a lot of negativity just around and depression and things of that sort. So you want to be surrounded by people that are doing good things and big things and think big. But sometimes it's hard to kind of sift through those weeds a little bit. But once you get to kind of a clearer picture of what you want, what you're looking for, like those things just seem to kind of find you. Like, I'll get calls or introduced to people out of the blue about, different like financial deals or projects or crypto thing. And it's like, wow, like I'm in that mindset now to where it's like, oh yeah, like opportunity is my only mindset. Like, I don't care if it's a good opportunity. I don't give a shit what industry it's in. I'm going to look into it. I'm not putting money on the table because I'm just an entertainer. Well, what I've really realized during COVID is I'm not just an entertainer. I'm an entertainer, but I'm a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ever take those things off the table if I can do it.
Right.
It's all about those like multiple streams of income. So any tips I get, I'll pass along to you guys because I like it.
Thanks, Madison.
I'm like, listen, if you can take 10 grand and light it on fire, you should stick it into this crypto. Maybe it'll work out.
Whatever the other thing is.
Fun, or you might be working.
What was it? Bitcoin? Oh, I don't even know.
Oh, Bitcoin's taking the fucking shitter right now. But here's the thing. When you get into the crypto market, like I have, when we have down days, like they call them bloodbaths, I love it. This is like shopping for me. I'm not into like fucking going shopping for clothes. I could give two shits. As long as I got a couple things that look good and are fresh every month, I'm fine, right? My shopping is cryptocurrency. I love it. So when I see dips, I'm like, buy. I'm texting my friend this morning and I'm like, ooh, is it going to go lower? Is it going to go lower? So I'll let you know about that too.
All these things. I should have been on this podcast way before now.
Yeah, probably. But that's okay.
Yeah, probably.
You're never too late.
It's okay. That's fine.
Because you might have, if you were on a couple months, you might have bought the highs. So you don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But let's talk about, go back to those affirmations. So what are some of the affirmations that you say that are pertinent to where you want to be in like your career? Like obviously I am funny and you are.
Well, I don't actually, I guess I don't look in the mirror and say it. But I actually never,
it's kind of weird, right?
I've never said that never, but really? I think it. Now it's,
okay.
No, I don't think it. I just know it.
Well, then that's a great thing.
Yeah. I think I think the abundance part. I am a magnet for the things that I aspire to do. I am a magnet for positivity. Yeah. I am grateful, and I am, I guess those are the ones that I really needed. I think that the lack of confidence that I may have had that nobody ever acknowledged, they never saw it because I hid it well.
Yeah, because I was saying you've always been very confident.
It seems that way. It seems that way. Yeah, but I think for the longest time, not good enough. Not at all, in any way, and that's it's weird to say it, but once first step is admitting you have a problem, but but I didn't at all, and I think that comes from whatever that comes from. She's a piece of me, right? There's a piece of me that is there, and that the not good enough or the insecurities or the lack, right? What is that? Imposter syndrome. Having that, I carried that for so long, and now I don't have that anymore. I think there are moments in my day, maybe, because we're not perfect, right? Like I can
No.
say I feel phenomenal about myself all the time. I do feel phenomenal about myself enough that I bought shorts for the first time in probably a decade. So look who's living now. Okay.
Good for
Wearing a pair
you.
of shorts.
You do not
Because
ever
you know
wear
how
shorts?
stupid that is?
But I didn't realize you didn't even wear shorts.
Never. I would never show my legs. Because
Really?
it was like a thing in my, I don't know, for whatever reason. And now I'm like,
Good
screw it.
for you.
I don't. So I feel like, look, if I could embody one thing, if you go into the beach and you see someone, let's say like 120 pounds or 100 pounds bigger than you with the confidence and fucking working it,
Oh, I love that.
I was like, that is what I need. I need to own it. I'm going to be like, I need that. That's what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I really don't look, I've done this, that, and the other thing. This is what I am. This is my life. The life has brought me until now. This is what I do in my days. Like I'm the strongest I think I've ever been in terms of, mentally and what I am capable of doing. And instead of owning like the thing on the outside, owning the thing on the inside and letting that shine out and let you make your decisions.
That's very well said. I want you to talk about imposter syndrome because I've seen that pop up a lot. So kind of explain what that is so people
So
are aware.
so just put it on a show, right? Like um say I get booked on a show and I'm featuring for somebody and it's somebody with a big name. And for years, I think like, oh, I'm, I'm not I'm not like them, right? Like I'm not as good as them. And so letting that be the thing that is in the forefront of the mind to go, okay, so I don't really belong here, or I'm not what they are. You're the exact same as what they are, but your roads are different, your experience is different, your life is different, your opportunities have been different. Oh, like that, the feeling that you don't belong or that you are not worthy enough or that you don't like, it's the opposite of fake it until you make it, or maybe it goes with fake it until you make it. Like there's
Yeah.
no faking there. That it's the one thing that defines me is the the actions I take, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna keep, I'm never gonna stop making those choices, right? So what
Yeah,
am I, right?
exactly. It's like
Yeah.
what do and is your husband as positive as you are right now, like in a good spot?
Yeah, but I think it's with any relationship or any marriage, and anybody that's watching the podcast would agree with me that it depends, right? Day to day.
Yeah.
Um he is prolific, but he can complain about the wind. So, you
Yeah.
know, he's haha, woo, like, but not
Yeah.
every moment. He's doing very well, and he's like, very grateful. And it hasn't been this positive, I think, ever. Um, and we're learning, we're only married, we'll be 5 years. And the beginning is very hard to anybody that like, oh, they want to find the person. Those first few years, especially if you get pregnant on the honeymoon, by the way, those first few years are really hard. And there's growing pains, and like, this
Yeah.
is the thing that I like, but you don't, or I can't live with this thing, or when you do that, whatever. But I think in our outlook on what we do with ourselves, and I think he's also taken me like out of the gutter sometimes.
Yeah, you
And
guys are like a great team.
yeah, I'm very grateful for him because it has, like I said, I mean, we were in therapy on national television. Thank God it hasn't come out like our full story yet. But the
When does
worst
that
of
come
us,
out? I remember that. Is it coming out?
I don't know. I hope not.
Like,
Maybe I do.
on social media.
Maybe they're waiting for us to be, blowing up, and then they'll be like, here's the shit that everybody needs to see. Here's how they started. Here's the mud that they were trekking through at the beginning of their marriage. I don't know. It hasn't always been easy, and it hasn't always been nice. And he was so infuriating one time that he was like, I'm leaving. And he walked out the front door. We lived in like the first floor of an apartment building. And I picked up a box that I had, like an Amazon box that I had folded up, like I'd broken down.
Yeah.
And I threw it down the hall, but it, like a boomerang, like whipped up in the air and like hit me in the face. It's like one of the greatest moments, because it's the funniest moment. Because I was like, who knew a box could whip me back in the face?
I know.
Cardboard box.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Sometimes if I'm being a real shit, he'll tell me.
Yeah. Which
out of that.
Which is important. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, what would be your best piece of advice to live a more positive, happy life? Don't think too hard.
Oh, that's really hard. No, that's really hard. So there's this something called Desiderata. Have you ever read it?
No. What's it called? Desiderata?
Desiderata. 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 It's by Max Ehrman. And throughout my life, the first time I found it, I think I was like 17, 18 years old. And I've always had it up on a wall somewhere, which is odd that I don't have it in my new house, but I'm going to find it and put it up. And in the beginning of it, it says, go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant, for they too have their story. And it goes on. And then there's a piece of it where it says, and whether you know it or not, no doubt that the universe is unfolding as it should. For as the trees and the stars, you, or something like something is like as much as the trees and the stars, you were meant to be here, and then like you, right? And be cheerful, strive to be happy. So I think the striving to be happy, this whole thing will 100%, like if you read it every day.
I love that.
And I probably quoted it and screwed it up, and and I made it wrong at some point, but that you have a place to be here, no less than the trees and the stars. And you're just a piece of something really beautiful. So why not just, like, nobody looks at a tree and says, look at that tree, is that a shitty tree? And if it is a person that does say, is that a shitty tree? What a shitty person. Judging the tree. So you're the tree. Be the tree. So people be like, look at that shitty person judging that beautiful tree. Be the tree, bro.
I love that. All right. Well, where can people find you on social media?
I am Funny X-Teen on Instagram, and Funny Christine, the classical way of spelling it, CHRISTINE, on Twitter.
Okay, perfect. And you have a website?
I do, ChristineMeehan.com.
Great. And that's where all your upcoming show dates are?
I should be better at my website, but yes.
Well, there's your reminder. You guys,
thank you.
Go check her out. She's absolutely freaking hilarious, and like you'll die laughing, and the stories are hysterical. And I'm so proud of you and your success and the great marriage and the wonderful new house that looks so beautiful. When I come back, I've got to come see you guys.
Yes, please come visit.
Awesome. Looks so
I love
awesome.
that. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being a guest. And you guys, wherever you're listening, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.